Let's explore the good, the bad, and the ugly of holo fantasies on this edition of...
Yeah, it's the best five, worst five, no one of me. Yeah, it's the best five, worst five tracks ever seen.
For these rankings, anything generally resembling a hologram through the Star Trek franchise, like isomorphic projections, were considered. This technology has been portrayed in a lot of different ways, from zany to innovative over the years. My biggest unresolved question is, what's on the fourth floor of Janeway Lambda 1? Starting at fifth worst, Beowulf. In the first episode to feature the Doctor, Voyager's Heroes and Demons sends the holographic medical marvel to do battle in an adulterated version of the classic Beowulf. Apparently, Harry Kim's propensity to suffer got himself, and later Tuvok and Chakotay, taken by photonic life that then become the embodiment of the story's antagonist, Grendel. Bob Picardo definitely does his best to make this dragging script about photonic life work, but at least by the end, it's a seek out new life plot, though forgettable in the grand scheme of Trek. Number 4. Chef Riker. This is the worst and most unnecessary ending to a show called Star Trek. Chronologically taking place during the events of TNG's The Pegasus, the series finale of Enterprise takes place on the Enterprise D holodeck through the eyes of Riker as the often mentioned but never seen chef on Enterprise. It features a throwaway plot with a cute ending about Shran's daughter and the for no good reason death of Trip Tucker. The things saving this from being even worse are the touching moments of Riker chefing it up while hearing closing stories from the crew, all the while working out his own feelings about what happened on the Pegasus. Overall terrible, but enough redeeming qualities to keep it from the worst spot in holoprograms. Number 3. Spiner Goes West. Remember that time we let a British guy direct a US spaghetti western with Brent Spiner as every holographic character and the holodeck safeties were off? Well, the safeties are basically always off because convenience, but this one devolves from a funny father-son bonding episode into a badly done comedy, as Worf, Troy, and Alexander are trapped in a holo-western where all the characters slowly are replaced by Data. The only thing in the episode that works for me are Mr. Spiner's facial expressions. When I think of the quintessential badgie trope of being sealed in the holodeck with safeties off, this is the episode that comes to mind. Number 2. Dixon Hill. While I think it's important for a captain to have a favorite time-waster holoprogram for their own sanity, all I'm saying is no one died because of Janeway Lambda 1 in its holographic form, like in this program's first appearance in The Big Goodbye, an episode that only ends up being the second most cliché detective story told on late 80s sci-fi television. And that's not even the worst use of the program. When it's trotted out again in Season 2's Manhunt, just so Picard can hide from Mrs. Troy, and then have her fall in love with a holo bartender for a laugh later, is a complete waste of an hour of television. The worst holo program of the franchise? Trip Gets Preggers. For a series where the Federation itself doesn't have major holo technology, it ends up in 2 of the worst 5 spots against dozens of times we've seen holograms through Star Trek. This entry not only sets up the absolutely ridiculous plot of Trip getting pregnant, this holographic boat, sea, and simple background are probably the single most boring holographic environment we've ever seen. Let this be a lesson to you. Don't stick your fingers in a random alien's pebbles. Kicking off Star Trek's best holographic antics at number 5. The Rios holograms. While Season 1 of Picard had some rough spots, the highlight of the season for me were the plethora of emergency holograms that run La Sirena, and all look like Rios. There's a hilarious reason why they're all Rios that I won't give away here in the book Rogue Elements. When Raffi gathers all the holograms in Picard's holographic study, it's both funny and the most useful part of the season arc, where she puts together that every main character's pain can be tied back to Commodore O. Santiago Cabrera really gets to show off his range as an actor in all of these various roles. Number 4. Vic's Lounge. I know not everyone is a fan of the wise-talking Vegas cliché known as Vic Fontaine, but some of the best episodes in the last seasons of DS9 take place in this 1960s lounge throwback. The best of which is probably It's Only a Paper Moon, where Nog loses himself in the program during his recovery from a leg amputation. Vic is up there with Guinan for having just the right words that people need to hear, even if no one knows what he's saying in 60s gangster slang most of the time. Even when the setting is being used for something silly like bada bing bada bang, it's at least a fun hour of television. And the final party with all the cast after the Dominion War, including producers in the holographic audience, was a beautiful final full moment for the series. Number 3. Seska's Little Game. Even after being dead for most of a season, Seska comes back as a hologram for one last piece of revenge. Torres finds a holo novel by an unknown author marked for deletion, but when she runs the program herself, she finds a story about the Maquis taking over Voyager. Apparently Tuvok wrote it as a tactical training scenario, but never finished it when he thought it would do more harm than good. The program becomes a word-of-mouth sensation among the crew, and Tuvok feels compelled to finish the story with Tom Paris. This is already a solidly fun and compelling holo story, but when the pair try to edit it, a booby trap laid by Seska years before turned this into a high-stakes game against Badgie. Seska messes with them and keeps giving them obvious avenues of escape just to prolong their suffering, before Kathy and crew give them the upper hand. A lot of hokey moments, but also a solidly compelling drama on the hologrid. Number 2. Sherlock Holmes. First appearing in TNG's Elementary Dear Data, this setting is a pretty mediocre entry with a bit of an anticlimax to the episode when Picard convinces Moriarty to just give back control of the ship. But when Reg Barclay accidentally finds the character years later, it sets up a wonderful game of holo misdirection. Picard, Data, and Barclay don't know that they're inside a holodeck within a holodeck, and inadvertently give control of the ship to Holmes' arch nemesis. Their solution to the problem is also very unique when they program another holodeck within the holodeck and make Moriarty believe he's living in real life when it's all still virtual. It brings up the philosophical question about whether we're all just living in some kind of simulation right now. The best holographic simulation in Star Trek history? EMH Holographic Medicine. This entry is generally for Voyager's EMH, The Doctor, where Bob Picardo gives some terrific performances over 7 seasons. It's specifically for the novel holomedicine pioneered by this hologram. When Voyager encounters a single dying Vidian, the Doctor temporarily transfers her consciousness into a holomatrix and gives Dinara her non-diseased appearance. There's also the time the Doctor developed holographic lungs as a stopgap measure for Neelix in the phage. These brilliant and pioneering life-saving medical techniques developed by one emergency medical hologram lost in the other side of the galaxy has to be the best use of holotechnology we've ever seen in the franchise. What's your favorite holoprogram in Star Trek?